Hi, it's Linda with No Frills ASMR. I was about to unfurl my flag to hang for Memorial Day weekend, and it got me thinking a little bit about Memorial Day. And I was, doing a little goog on it, and I saw this story that I thought was kind of sweet. I just wanted to share with you guys about, well, first let me say that if you look it up, they basically say that Lyndon Johnson in 1966 declared Waterloo, New York, the birthplace of Memorial Day, and I think that's when they made it a federal holiday, which I should back up and say in the United States, Memorial Day is a federal holiday that is marked the last Monday in May, so that government employees get a 3-day weekend during that time, and it's a time to remember the people who have died in the military service. So that's what Memorial Day is. But I was kind of looking up the beginnings of it, and I thought it was interesting because, hold on, let me get my map real quick. I was reading about, let's see if we can find the place, in Columbus, Mississippi. There was a group of women. Hold on, where's Mississippi? M-I-S-S, Missouri, Mississippi. Okay, so they are in Columbus, Mississippi. And there's this group of women who, I know at least one of their husbands had died in battle. He was a Confederate soldier. And my understanding, actually, let me get another map. We need lots of maps. Okay. So they are here in Columbus, Mississippi. And there was a battle that took place called the Battle of Shiloh that happened in southwestern Tennessee. I think it was kind of like right around here. Somewhere around there. It might be closer. Actually, it's closer to this river, I think. But anyway. And that was a extremely bloody battle. I feel like it was like almost 30,000 men were injured, killed, or missing. But it was a lot of casualties, like 1,700 men, and probably a lot of boys were killed. And they took the bodies to Columbus, Mississippi, and buried them in a graveyard there. And so in 1866, these women went to that graveyard with garlands and flowers and roses, and they put them on the graves of not just Confederate soldiers, but also the Union soldiers who were buried there, and prayed around their grave sites. And this was written up in a newspaper. And it was very touching to people because I think a lot of people at that time, this is after the war ended. So the war ended in 1965, and this was written up in 1966. And I think the Civil War had a lot of families broken up. Sons. I remember being at the Tennessee State Museum, and a man talked about the pain of the Civil War, a writing from that time, about how he had 2 sons who were Confederate, and him and his other son were Union, and they never spoke again, and they died fighting their cause. And it was just a very painful situation for people. A very dark time, really. But anyway, so these women went and put flowers on the graves, and I think when that was written up, people from both sides were like very moved by that. And a poet named Francis Miles Finch. Look, I'm writing half caps and half now. In 1867, so this is 2 years outside of the Civil War, he wrote a poem based on that article he had read about the women putting the flowers on the graves. And I printed that poem so that we could look at it real quick. But the poem was called The Blue and the Gray. And the poem says, "The blue and the gray, by the flow of the inland river, whence the fleets of iron have fled, where the blades of the grave grass quiver, asleep are the ranks of the dead. Under the sod and the dew, waiting the judgment day, under the one the blue, under the other the gray. These are the robings of glory, those in the gloom of defeat, all with the battle blood gory, in the dusk of eternity meet. Under the sod and the dew, waiting the judgment day, under the laurel the blue, under the willow the gray. From the silence of sorrowful hours, the desolate mourners go, lovingly laden with flowers, alike for the friend and the foe." So that's kind of about the women lovingly laden the flowers, alike for friend and the foe. Under the sod and the dew, waiting the judgment day, under the roses the blue, under the lilies the gray. So with equal splendor, the morning sun rays fall, with a touch impartiality tender, on the blossoms blooming for all. Under the sod and the dew, waiting the judgment day, broidered with gold the blue, mellowed with gold the gray. So when the summer calleth, on forest and field of grain, with an equal murmur falleth the cooling drip of the rain. Under the sod the dew, waiting the judgment day, wet with rain the blue, wet with rain the gray. Sadly, but not with upbraiding, the generous deed was done. In the storm of the years that are fading, no braver battle was won. Under the sod and dew, waiting the judgment day, under the blossoms the blue, under the garlands the gray. No more shall the war cry sever, or the winding rivers be red, to banish our anger forever, when thy laurel the graves of our dead. Under the sod and the dew, waiting the judgment day, love and tears for the blue, tears and love for the gray. So I thought that was really kind of beautiful because they're all dead, and it was like there's love and tears for the blue and tears and love for the gray. So it was hard. Can you imagine 2 years post the Civil War and knowing that families were broken apart and killed by each other, basically? To read that poem and just, have those moments. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting. So then it was called Decoration Day because of people decorating the graves of the fallen. And then eventually it was changed to Memorial Day. And it was made into a federal holiday of Memorial Day. So it is a time for remembering those who have fallen in wars, and not just it was the Civil War, but now the, World War One, World War Two, Vietnam War, all the different conflicts, wars and conflicts, I think, basically serving in the military, I guess. And I remember when my boys were in Boy Scouts, we went to the local cemeteries and put flags on all the graves of veterans who had died. And that was, I liked doing that. That was a nice thing to do. But now in the U.S., they have a lot of parades on Memorial Day, times of remembrance. We also have a holiday called Veterans Day, which is a remembrance of those who have died, but also those who have served or are serving, I guess. Maybe it's just, veterans would imply they have served. But anyway, the military, a time of recognition. But it's a little different from Memorial Day. That's my understanding. I'm no expert on these things. But anyway, yeah, I thought that was kind of a interesting story. I just wanted to share it with you. All right, I'm off to hang my flag. Hopefully, I don't think there's rain in the forecast, but I think I'll be home working today, so I'll be able to take it down if it does rain. All right, well, thanks for watching.